Once you have breakpoints in your code, you need to step through the code. This movie shows how to effectively navigate code while debugging. Before running this demonstration, let's verify that one of my edit and continue settings is turned on. I'll go to Debug, Options and Settings, click on Edit and Continue, and make sure there's a checkbox here. Then click OK. Next, I want to show you the code. I have a main window that has a button. When you click on the button, it's going to run this code. I have a breakpoint over here. And as you're stepping through the code, there's a call to this function called calculate monthly payment, which lives over here in this financial class. So that's our basic code. Let me put a breakpoint here and run the application by choosing Debug, Start Debugging. When I click on the button, it hits my breakpoint. You can tell you're hitting your breakpoint because there's a red dot over here and a yellow arrow. Now I want to move one line of code. To do that, I can click on this button here, the Step Into button. I can also press the F11 key. That runs one line of code, then stops and waits. If I want to go back and rerun this line of code, I can pick up the yellow arrow with my mouse, drag it up here, and do that same line of code again. With Edit and Continue, I can even do things like change this amount to 5.8, drag this back up there, and run it a third time. This time I'll press F11. So this allows me to run a couple of lines of code, make some changes to my variables, rerun those same line of codes, and try to find the bug in my code. Next, I'm going to press this Step Into button. Now, this is a method call, so when I press Step Into, it will walk me into that method, and now I'm running inside this second method. And I can keep pressing F11 to step through the code, hover over this to find the results, return the results, and now I've stepped back into the original caller. There are several other buttons up here. There's a Stop Debugging. There's a Restart, which will recompile the application and start fresh. There's also a Show the Next Statement. This is useful if you've wandered around inside your files and you don't remember where you are at the breakpoint. You look up here and see I am at a breakpoint, but you don't remember where it is. You can click on Show Next Statement. It takes you back to wherever the yellow marker is. And then you've got these three buttons: Step Into, Step Over, and Step Out. So let's talk about Step Over. I'm ready to run this line of code, line 41. You remember the last time I called calculate monthly payment, I had to step through 5 or 6 lines of code over in that function. I can skip all those steps and run this one line of code as if it was a single line of code by clicking on Step Over. If you already tested this code and you don't want to look at it again, then you can skip over that method call. The Step Out is useful when you've stepped into a method. So I'll press F11 to step into the calculate monthly payment. And I run 1 or 2 lines of code in here, maybe rewind it and try some things. And then when I'm done and I don't want to step individually through any more lines of code in this method, I can click on Step Out. That returns me back to the calling method. So now you know how to move to any point in your code, rewind your code, step over code, and use some of the buttons on the debug toolbar.